Dear student class 10, welcome to our online class Greenfield School and College. Today I am going to discuss about the chapter 13, the financial and banking system of the government of Bangladesh. The government of Bangladesh has an important role in providing security for the life and property of the people of Bangladesh. Actually, it is included in our main documentary running the country, constitution, the defense of the country, the running of administration, the economic development activities, and in public welfare works. The government spends a huge amount of money to play this role, sometimes either putting up the rate or imposing tax on new sectors, so the government arranges extra income to meet these expenses. In the post-liberation period, the government of Bangladesh has formed many sectors based on managements, including administration, finance, health, managing sectors of the government of Bangladesh. With the change of time and function of these two systems have increased manifold comparing to those in the past. People keep their income or surplus money in bank for safety. Underline this. People keep their income or surplus money where they keep in for safe bank. With the change of time, the government of Bangladesh formed some particular financial institution, including the central and commercial bank. Concept of the public finance management. The public finance, very important. What do you mean by public finance management? Public finance is one of the important branches of economy. Generally, the public finance means the policies and method regarding the income and expenditure of the state. In this connection, Professor Dalton says, public finance is concerned with the income and expenditure of the government and with the adjustment of the one to others. In this branch of economy, all types of income, expenditure of the state, loan and investment related problems and the issues of their solution are included. The source of income of Bangladesh government. It's important for your MCQ. The government of Bangladesh spends a huge amount of money to accomplish public welfare in running the administration, underline, and for socio-economic development. The government has to earn a lot of money to meet these expenses. The source of income, underline, very important. Income of Bangladesh government can be divided. How many parts we can divide it in? Two parts. The two parts such as tax revenue and extra tax revenue. Tax revenue, the income which is received from the taxes imposed on people and on various business firms and industries by the government is called tax revenue. What do you mean by tax revenue? The income which is received from the taxes imposed on people on various business firms, it is called tax revenue. The source of tax revenue income of the government are follows the customs. At first, customs. The main source of income of the government of Bangladesh, underline, is the customs. The tax which is imposed on the exported and imported goods of the country is called the custom. Do you mean what is customs? Customs mean when we export or import the product and when it is actually entry door of Bangladesh, where the Bangladesh government imposes taxes for their product, for their businessman's product. It is called customs. Excise duty, the tax which is imposed on the goods goods produced and used inside the country is called excise duty. In addition to revenue collection, excise duty is also imposed on the people of reducing the consumption of various harmful goods in Bangladesh. Underline, excise duty is imposed mainly on tea, cigarette, harmful things like tea, like cigarette, and excess use of people, sugar, tobacco, kerosene, medicine, spirit, match, wine, ganja, opium, etc. Income tax. An important source of income of the government of Bangladesh is the income tax. The tax which is imposed on the personal income of the people is called income tax. In Bangladesh, income tax is realized at a progressive rate from those whose income is over a ceiling. Value added tax, very important. Actually, it is introduced in 1999. The value added tax is usually known as VAT in the tax system of Bangladesh. At present, in our country, VAT has been imposed on imported and locally produced goods and on some fixed service sectors. Supplementary duty. The duty which is imposed on some goods in addition to the customs or excise duty or VAT is called supplementary duty. Is actually is extra charge. It is one of the main source of income of Bangladesh government. Land revenue, the tax paid to the government for the possession and use of land is known as land revenue. Actually, landowner give the land revenue. The income of the government in this sector has decreased to some extent as a result of the government's exemption of land tax up to 25 vigors. Underline, non-judicial stamp. The government earns a huge amount of money from the stamp used for various documentary application regarding judiciary passport, exercise, exchange bills. Non-judicial stamp, previous it was bought 150 taka, then now it is it was bought 300 taka. Registration, the registration fee is paid for deed registration and the court fee is paid for lawsuit. Actually, it deposit on the bank. If you file a case on the court, then you have to pay some money for this purpose, and actually you have to make a bank draft against money. The government earns enough money from this source. Vehicle tax, the tax paid for the registration of vehicle is called the vehicle tax, like car tax, bike tax. Wine duty, the government earns some money by imposing duty on wine, ganja, afim, etc. drugs. Electricity duty, the government has income from the electricity duty to you already know it. Electricity duty you have to pay it on bcash or deposit and paid help with the help of bank. Other taxes and duties. Besides the above mentioned taxes and duties, the government earn more taxes and duties mainly from creation tax, property tax, duty on petrol and gas, duty of foreign tour, tax on irrigation and its machinery, etc. Extra tax revenue, the government of Bangladesh collects revenue from many other sources besides tax and duty. The revenue earned from this source is called extra tax revenue. Dividend and profit, the government gets dividend and profit from the various financial organizations such as bank, insurance company and various non-banking financial organization, park, zoo. At the end of the year. And interest. The government gives loan to various financial and autonomous organizations. Some income comes from the duties received in this regard. Interest, actually you have to when you loaned in a bank, then you have to pay it interest. Or for this reason, government have another source of income will be created. The economic service, the government also earn through giving some economic facilities to the people. Among these, tourism, banking, travel and service are notable. Their registration scheme received under Export Import Act, the earning received under Insurance Act, audit scheme of cooperative societies, registration of, actually the cooperative society, for their registration they paid money to the government. And renewal scheme, the general administration. The government of Bangladesh earns various type of fees for providing administrative service. The railway, though railway is a source of government income, there is often deficit in this sector. The postal department, since the postal department of the country is run by the government, it is also a source of income of government. The telephone telegraphs, since the telephone telegraph system is run by the government, it is another source of income source of government. The forestry, the government also earn a lot of money from the forest areas of Bangladesh through selling forest borne asset like wood, bamboo, fuel, honey, wax, etc. Toll and levy, very important. The government earns worth mentioning amount of money in the toll and levy head. Toll is kind of revenue which is unlike the tax imposed on income. The government earns this revenue in exchange of providing various service to people. For example, government earned by collecting money at bridge, culvert. When you pass the when you pass the Jamuna Bridge, Meghna Bridge, and Buriganga Bridge, you have to pay money. You have to. This is called toll. Levy is the tax imposed on and collected from people at a particular time on a particular purpose. For example, the tax levied on the purpose of Padma Bridge, a long time activities. For the long time activities, people paid money for this for fulfill this purpose. Rent and lease, the government also earns very important through renting and leasing. It is important for your MCQ. And leasing government property 10 years for a long time, like 10 years, 20 years lease for the government property. And some people rent it, and there is a agreement with government, and these people, it is called rent and lease. And fine and penalty and forfeiture, the government of Bangladesh earns an amount every year through fine, penalty and forfeiture. The government of Bangladesh gains a lot of money from the sources mentioned above. Head of expenditure of the government of Bangladesh spends a huge amount of money on the socio-economic development, the construction of infrastructure, the human resource development, on the poverty alleviation. Moreover, the government has to spend money on administrative and social, public welfare and other service oriented activities. One of the important things in the government expenditure management is to increase expenditure in productive sector and to reduce expenditure in non-productive sector. The government allocates money for revenue as well as government expenditure in the annual budget. Main head of expenditure of government of Bangladesh. Defense, very important for your MCQ. This is one of the main head of expenditure of Bangladesh government. The government of Bangladesh spent a huge amount of money regarding the expenses of giving the salary, allowance and other facilities to the officers and the employees of the defense forces, as well as regard weapons of war, equipment, etc. The civil administration, the government, actually it means executive department of Bangladesh government. The government spent a worth mentioning amount of operation, development, salary, allowance, pension, etc. of the employees of various ministries, division run under this control, under their control. Education, very important for your MCQ. An important sector of expenditure of Bangladesh government is education. Underlined it. The government has to pay a huge amount of money in the recent times to free the country from the curse of illiteracy through expansion of education. The expenditure has much increased for the grants of government educational institution, non-government schools, college, madrasas, stipend, free distribution of books, imparting training to teachers, and in new activities for the expansion of education. Besides, government allows a great deal of money for non-formal education, health and family welfare. The government spends a huge amount of money on heads like setting up hospitals, medical colleges, preventing various infectious diseases, population control, child welfare program and maternity program, etc. Payment of loan and interest. The government has to take huge amount of loan from home and abroad for development works of the country. The government has to spend huge amount of money to pay off the capital money and interest every year. Agriculture, fishery and livestock. The government of Bangladesh spends a notable amount of money on these heads every year. The police answer Bangladesh border guard, BGB. The police answer forces are essential for maintaining law and order situation and keeping peace inside the country. Again, the border guard has been formed in Bangladesh to protect the border and to check smuggling. The government of Bangladesh spent a huge amount of money on these three big heads. Judiciary and jail division, a huge amount of money spent on the salary allowance of the officer employees of the judiciary, jail division and management of these two divisions. Public work, the government spent amount of money on public work like bridge, culvert. Revenue division, the government of Bangladesh spent a big portion of revenue to meet the expenditure of income tax, customs, excise, land revenue division. The foreign affairs, the government has to spend a huge amount of money every year to establish relationship and operate embassy abroad to protect the interest of the country outside. Retirement allowance and other facilities, the government has to spend a huge amount of money every year to give retirement allowance and other benefits to the retired officers and employees. The social welfare program, the government has to allocate a huge amount of money every year for the social welfare activities. Unexpected expenditure, very important for your MCQ. Every year, the government of Bangladesh has to spend enough money to solve emergency situation created by natural disaster like flood, cyclone, drought, water upsurge, etc. Other heads. In addition to the above mentioned heads and the other heads where the government spends money are the secretariat, the accounts, fuel and energy, mine production and construction, etc. Bangladesh is a developing country. The government of Bangladesh has to spend a huge amount of money every year on the heads mentioned above. The number of many new heads and the amount of expenditure are gradually increasing every year. The rate of increase in government expenditure should be controlled for the sake of overall development of Bangladesh. So thank you so much, and next class we will read the bank, about the consumption of bank.